Why stop charters altogether and not limit yourself to 2 to 3 per week? Truth is, over the past year, I've been limiting myself to about 4 trips per week. And you'll never understand this unless you've done it for a living, been a charter captain or maybe commercial fished or whatever it is. And I can't speak for everyone. This is just my feeling. A fisherman's dream is to go fishing, not to take other people fishing. Chartering is the closest thing to it. And when you're doing it on other people's terms, dealing with other people constantly, over time it starts to feel like work, and it makes you feel negatively about it, or at least me. Like I said, I can't speak for everyone, but over the past year or so, I've really started to feel negatively about going on the boat, and I never want to get to that point where I ruin this passion, and I refuse to. So that's the reason that I'm not throttling back more. I'm fortunate enough that I've kind of set myself up that I can make that decision and just stop completely. What's the hardest thing about being a YouTuber, and how do you deal with it? Probably being recognized in public and people acting like I'm some type of celebrity or someone cool. If you know me, how much of just a normal, well, I don't know about normal, just regular person I am. I'm just a regular guy, literally just a regular guy. So it feels weird when people treat me that way, and I don't feel that way, so it's odd. It may come as a surprise to a lot of people. I'm actually an extreme introvert, and people will find that confusing because I do make YouTube videos that hundreds of thousands of people watch, but it's just me and a camera, or me talking to a camera and an inanimate object. So when I'm approached by strangers in public, it can be a little overwhelming, but I'm learning to deal with it. It's just new, and I just try to remember that I'm putting my life out there and making footage that they like, and they just want to say hi, and that's fine. How do you balance work and life? I don't. I haven't done a great job at it in the past. That's one of the main reasons, another main reason, one of the many, I'm throttling back on charters. You just kind of get obsessed with the grind and the daily satisfaction of a hard day's work, and I haven't done a great job at it. I'm throttling back so I can spend more time with Madeline, spend more time with our animals in the home that we've built together, and I've been consumed by work for the past 8 years. So one of the reasons I'm spending more time on the YouTube is because YouTube kind of intermingles both. It is work and it is also my life. I really enjoy it. I enjoy making the content, and I enjoy the feedback I get from people telling me how much it helps them. So it's beneficial to me. But to answer your question, have not done a great job at balancing work and life, but I am working on it. This was actually a 2-part question. Why will I not take tank diving charters, and why am I against tank diving if recreational limits are the same as free diving? I've never openly said I was against tank diving. I don't remember it, at least. Maybe I made a remark somewhere, but I'm not. I have nothing against tank divers. I hold no animosity there. I personally like to free dive. I don't take charters because of the amount of gear. Free diving charters are so much easier. No tanks, no BCs, all that crap. And yeah, I don't have any negative feelings towards tank diving. I think there are scenarios where it has greatly reduced populations in certain areas, but I'm not a scientist. I don't know. I don't dive those areas. You just hear things, and you wonder if the Bahamas is thriving because of no tanks and pole spears only, or if it's just a better fishery. You don't know. But no, I have nothing against tank divers or tank diving in general. Closest call with a shark. A few stand out in my mind. One in particular, me and my good friend Will, we were drifting for wahoo. I shot a wahoo, and I had just got it up to my body, and there was a couple bull sharks around, but not really acting aggressively. And I was swimming back to the boat with my head out of the water, looking at the boat, and a bull shark head-butted me, taking a swipe at the wahoo, head-butted me right in the kind of the waist groin area, enough that it knocked the air out of me, but it actually didn't bite me. So that was probably the closest call as far as aggression and the chance of being bit, I guess. How do you feel that recent development of 3D maps for fish finders is impacting fishing? Oh boy. I don't think it's impacted the fishing, at least in my area, that much yet. I still think we're so early on, it's hard to tell. I think over time it's going to get worse. Boating's becoming more popular. Information's becoming more easily accessible. I personally think the 3D maps are the worst thing that's ever happened to fishing. And, not to sound old and preachy, but we live in this generation where we just want information now and the easy way, and everyone wants to pay for spots instead of putting the time in, which I get. It's easy, but I think it's also sad for the guys who have put in a lifetime in areas, 30, 40 years, finding hidden gems and all these numbers that otherwise would never have been discovered. And now Joe Blow from wherever who bought a boat can spend $500 and has access to all the same information that this guy put 40 years to find. But I don't think it's impacted the fishery yet, but I still think we are very, very early on. I've always been curious how you stay hydrated and what you eat to sustain diving all day, every day. You're gonna hate this answer. I actually don't eat anything. I never eat breakfast unless I'm staying home doing emails or something like that. But if I'm on the boat working, whether it's commercial diving or chartering, I don't eat breakfast. I don't eat lunch. I normally pack a sandwich, but I don't eat it until like 5 or 6 p.m. when I'm done filleting fish. On rare occasion, a lot of it's anxiety too. Charters, you get kind of stressed out. You want to make sure it's a good day. But if it's a trip that I know the people and I'm comfortable with, sometimes I'll bring like a protein bar or I'll boil some of those little tiny potatoes and I'll snack on those. But I also don't want to fill my stomach up too much because that's lung capacity. If you've got a full stomach, it's less air you can fit in your lungs. But yeah, I don't eat much. I just pound water all day pretty much. I guess that's why I'm skin and bones probably. Where does YouTube take you for the 10 or 20 year plan? I don't know. Kind of just taking it as it comes. I don't really have a 10 or 20 year plan, or we don't. We're just kind of rolling with the punches. I tend to be a planner, but I'm also trying to learn to live in the now. I've had a job since I was 14. I've been saving heavily in my 401k, like 15% of my paycheck since I was about 18 years old. So the long term looks, okay for us. I have a couple sources of passive income. YouTube's not my only income. Me and Madeline are working on some things together coming up, and just YouTube's a part of it. And I don't know. Some people have built extremely successful careers and lives on YouTube. I'm not banking on that, but at the same time, I'm not opposed to it. Just kind of roll with the punches, and we'll see where it goes. How does it feel to live the dream? It's kind of wild. It almost doesn't feel real at times. I think as humans, we react more to like sudden change, like a death or a wedding or a baby being born. But like, for example, if you see a friend you haven't seen in 5 years, you notice how much they've changed, but that friend hasn't noticed because they see themselves every day. So the change from coming from where I was to living my dream, I've seen the daily progression, so it feels natural, if that makes sense. But I do have spurts of, wow, holy crap, this is my life. How did I get here? And it kind of just, you realize how much time has passed and how far you've come, especially when you look at photos or old videos and you remember where you were, what position you were in. But it's awesome. It starts to feel like reality, not in a bad way. It feels natural when you're there. I get this question all the time. All this information is on the internet. I thought you can only spearfish 3 miles from land in the Keys. They mean outside of 3 miles. I believe it is Long Key north of Miami-Dade. I could be wrong. The lower Keys, that is not a thing. I think it's 3 miles Atlantic, 9 miles Gulf. But again, I could be wrong. It's on the line, I promise. If you Google spearfishing Monroe County, it'll pop up. Consider hiring a backup captain. And trust me, I thought about this. I had people telling me I was an idiot for not hiring a captain to run the charter. I thought about it. This decision did not happen overnight. Couple of reasons. One of the main reasons, and not to sound arrogant, the way that I built my business was with my face on it. So when people book a trip with dibs on bottom, they want to come out with me, and that's just the reality of it. Number 2, I still need my boat for what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be running maybe 1 sandbar trip a week just to keep the boat slip paid for and the boat working and maintenance and all that stuff. I need it for YouTube, and I need it for another business that I am starting. So I can't have someone else continue to run it because I need the boat. And number 3, trying to find a good quality worker down here is dang near impossible. There's a good chance that, you get a year or 2 out of them. Maybe they're going to take what they learned from you and, maybe some of your spots, and they're going to start their own show. So just wasn't the ideal fit for me to hire another captain. Why not brain then bleed so the heart keeps pumping blood out? I'm assuming you meant bleed then brain. The heart keeps pumping even after you brain them. If you catch a fish and you brain it, gut it and pull the heart out, and it'll pump for a few minutes after the fish has been brained. It's a muscle. The nerves will keep firing long after the fish is dead. How do you sharpen your spears? Oddly enough, I've actually never in my entire life sharpened a spear. I normally just shoot them until they bend. I have some that I used to shoot that were so blunt you would think it wouldn't go through a fish, and they would still go through fish just fine. I've never actually sharpened one. I have trouble equalizing my ears. Any tips? Take a class. You have to take a free diving class. Everyone is different. Everyone's ears are different. Most of the instructors, if you get a good one, will be able to walk you through clearing your ears. I'm one of the fortunate ones where I can hands-free clear. I've never had to troubleshoot equalizing. So I don't have a ton of knowledge on that, and I'm not a huge help, but take a free diving class. Do you think working out more would have prevented some of the body pains you've had? Probably yes and no. Specifically like the knee and joint pains, yes, I think it would have. I've always thought that just because I'm diving all the time, I'm going to be in shape and I'm working out. Well, when you do it for so long, so often, your body just becomes used to it, so it's not really a workout, you're just moving. But yeah, that's one of the things I've been implementing in the last few months is doing some actual, workouts with weights and whatnot, trying to repair my knees and shoulders and stuff. But yeah, I definitely think if I would have continued to work out while diving and doing all that, I probably would have been better off. Accuracy and range of the Grover. Talking about the little short guns that we produce. To be clear, this gun is built for low visibility. I'm not taking shots more than 5 feet maybe. Accuracy is up to you. Range, the gun will probably shoot 10 feet, but again, that's not what it's built for. It's a true mid-handle. It's an awkward long shot if you take it like that, but it's built mainly just for super duper low visibility and hunting in tight quarters. Would you ever try to go after some inshore species, tarpon, permit, bonefish? Maybe bonefish. I'd like to catch a bonefish one day. Probably not tarpon or permit. I'm not a big catch and release guy. I've always been a meat eater, born and raised. We harvest things to eat. But yeah, maybe bonefish one day. Why not put out a giant flasher spread, say maybe 3 or 4 different chains in a row? I'm assuming you mean like wahoo drifting. We're effective with just one. I shoot plenty of wahoo with just one. And if you do shoot a fish and it wraps them, you're asking for a giant mess and getting in and out of the boat with for drifts. You're wasting a lot of time wrapping up that much gear when we're effective with just one. Have you ever heard of anyone spearfishing in freshwater or just saltwater? Actually, there are some states, I think, where you can legally spear freshwater. I think a lot of them up north. I've had some people email me about it. I'd actually like to do that someday. I know some of the guys spearfish in the rivers and the lakes up there, but I don't know exactly where they are. But yes, spearfishing in freshwater is a thing. Do you think you and Madeline will live in the Keys long term? We've talked about this quite a bit. We will always own a house here, but we don't know. We're torn on splitting time here in the Pacific. We're also torn on just keeping this house and using those funds to travel a lot more. So I don't know. I know we will always own a house here. Whether or not we will be here full time is to be determined. Kind of taking life as it comes.
Let me be cute.
Speak of the devil. When is the wedding and how did you meet?
Hold on.
Let's start with the wedding.
The wedding's in 2 weeks?
And how did we meet? The quick version.
The sandbar.
The sandbar.
Mutual friends.
We'll keep it PG. So actually, Will started as a charter guest. He booked a blackfin tuna trip. He searched blackfin tuna, I think, hashtag on Instagram, and my charter popped up, and he booked a trip with me. I think we caught 1 or 2 tuna, maybe 2 tunas and an amberjack or something like that. And some people you just click with, and we hit it off, and he booked a few more trips, and the rest is history. Would you ever collaborate with a smaller YouTube channel? This is a tough one to answer without sounding like a jerk. Yes and no. I'm going to give you a political answer. It's hard to understand until you're in the shoes. Like when I first started my channel, I didn't have any views or subscribers. I reached out to some bigger names and see if they wanted to, collab or whatever it is you call it, and they all said no. And at the time, I'm like, well, they're jerks. Why wouldn't they want to help me out? Well, why do they owe me anything? And they probably get reached out to constantly, people asking for favors and videos. And now that I'm in a position where I get a decent amount of views, I do get those messages constantly. So like, where do you draw the line without being a jerk? Like, say yes to some and no to others. It's hard, and I don't enjoy telling people no. And I've had some bigger names come down and film with me. I haven't really filmed with much of anyone, maybe one or two other people, but it's hard. And so yes and no. Opinions on roller guns. I don't really have one. I think I've maybe shot one roller ever, and I don't even know if it was at a fish, maybe just to fire it. I don't really have an opinion on them. I'm the type of guy that doesn't fix something unless it's broken. If I ever start coming up short or not penetrating fish or missing fish, I'll look for another option, but I don't really have an opinion. They're super popular for a reason. I'm sure they work just fine, just I haven't really gone down that road. Starting a YouTube channel, any tips? Be consistent. If it's just some get-rich scheme, it's not going to work. I got into YouTube really late compared to a lot of people. It's been around forever, but it takes time. I'm 4.5 years in. I didn't start to see like any real growth for about 3.5 years. I think it's becoming the new thing. Like, oh, I'm just going to start a YouTube channel. Well, like everyone's doing it, but it filters out a lot of people. Maybe 1 out of 1,000 actually become successful and profitable. But you have to stay consistent. You got to, just like anything, you got to put your time in. Unless you just get lucky and have a couple viral videos, but stay consistent. That's all you can do. It is not easy. It is a lot of work. It takes a lot of time and dedication. Can we drink a beer together when I will come to the Keys? No, but let me explain. There's no real way to say this without sounding like a grump or a jerk, but this is not an exaggeration. Probably 4 or 5 times a week, we get asked for drinks or dinner from subscribers or fans or whoever, and it's impossible to say yes to everyone. And I know social media paints this picture that we just kind of lay around and go on the boat and eat lobster and bask in the sun, but we work a lot. We work 5 or 6 days a week, the both of us, and the few times that we have off, we want to spend together or see some friends that we haven't seen in a while. And I feel bad saying that because a lot of my best friends have come from strangers over beer, but the reality is I can't say yes to everyone. And like, where do you draw the line without being a jerk? But I mean, if you see us out and you want to buy us a drink, by all means, if we're already out, but it's hard to schedule that, and it's not realistic. We'd be drunk every single day. That is all I have. Thanks everyone who participated. Appreciate you watching and submitting questions. I tried to get to as many as I could. I had over, not an exaggeration, I had over 400 questions. So I tried to get to the ones that were the most common or duplicate questions. Maybe I'll do another one of these soon if you guys enjoy them, but my phone battery's about to die, so I'm gonna sign off and get back to my day. Y'all have a good one.